Welcome to the channel. Today we are doing a case study of a couple in their mid-30s earning nearly $500,000 a year, but with less than $300,000 to their name. Like a lot of high earners, this couple that we'll call Alex and Taylor have great income on paper, but life moves fast. They have several goals, thinking about buying a home, starting a family, still trying to figure out how to retire early. We'll walk through those goals today and how we can plan for those. I'm Justin Ancona, partner here at Steward Guide Wealth Partners. Our goal and mission is to honor God by providing excellent financial guidance to everyone that we have the privilege of working with. Now let's get into this case study. All right, so we'll get into a little background information on Alex and Taylor, then we'll get into the goals that they have, and then really we'll spend the majority of the time going through the planning recommendations for how we can accomplish those goals that they have. So Alex and Taylor, they're, as we mentioned, in their mid-30s. They live in Austin, Texas. Alex is a software engineer at a tech company, earning $220 base, $50,000 bonus, and incentive stock options. And Taylor is a physician's assistant, and she's earning $145,000 per year. Between the two of them, about $415,000 combined income. Since they're both young, we're going to plan conservatively as we plan for retirement and just assume 50% or less of a Social Security benefit, so we don't want to rely on that Social Security income. Their current expenses, they are needing $10,000 per month for needs and wants, and then $3,000 a month is what they tied to their church. Now, getting into the goals that they have, they would like to buy their first home. And we'll talk about it. They want to do that in the next 2 to 3 years and have a down payment for that. Like to start a family and prepare for changes if Taylor reduces her hours. Ideally, they'd like to retire early and then balancing saving with lifestyle. So they still want to enjoy, they like to travel, but they do want to be saving for retirement so that they can potentially retire early. We'll run through the assets that they have real quick here. So they've got a net worth just under $300,000. They've got $90,000 in their bank. They've made a good start on what they're contributing to 401ks. They both are, in the last couple of years, they've been doing Roth IRA contributions. They do not have a health savings account, so we'll talk about that. They've got $60,000 in a brokerage, a joint account. No real estate. As you mentioned, that's a goal of theirs. No insurance, which both of those we'll talk about coming up here. All right, now getting into the planning recommendations, the fun part. So we've got several planning recommendations, and we'll focus on a few of them and several of the goals that they have. So the first goal we'll focus on is their goal to buy a home in the next 2 to 3 years. So in order to look at that goal that they've got, what we're actually going to start with is how to create a cash flow plan for them. Because right now they've got their taxes and spending. They've got what they're doing to their 401ks, they're maxing it out. And so they've got excess cash flow each month. We want to make sure we're allocating that cash flow to the correct spots in order to reach the goals that they have. First, what we want to do is we want to make sure that one of the things we mentioned is they don't have a health savings account. So I would like for them to set that up and max that out each month. Secondly, they can do backdoor Roths. They can't do a normal Roth because of their income being too high, but they can do backdoor Roth. So they can set aside money each month and do a backdoor Roth for each of them up to $7,000 per year. So this will be roughly $1,000 a month for each of them. Then finally, we want to look at, how much can they put towards a home down payment. They can put $7,500 per month roughly towards a down payment. We recommend just doing that into a high yield savings account. We're just putting it into that because it's something that we're going to be using in the near term, hopefully in the next year. And so by doing that, $7,500 a month, when we multiply that by 12 months, just to see where we're at here, that's about $90,000. Again, we need $140,000 is what they need for their down payment goal. So we'll be short $50,000 in a year, so it might take a little bit over a year. Now, one thing I do want to look at is what they have for current cash. Can they use any of the assets or current cash that they have towards the down payment to reach their goal sooner. So they've got $90,000, which would be higher than what they would need for an emergency fund. They've shared that this is really a rainy day fund, something that they're not using for any reason other than an emergency fund. And they've also shared that they both have stable jobs. And so we would look at dialing that back closer to 3 to 4 months rather than what they have now. So 3 to 4 months with their spending of $13,000 per month, let's say 4 months, would be about $50,000. So we could reduce this down to $50,000, subtract $50,000 from that, and that'll give us $40,000 that we can have in cash. Here we've got it here already. So $40,000 that we can put towards the home. Now we're only $10,000 off within 1 year of having a 20% down payment for their home. So again, they had a goal of 2 to 3 years to buy their first home. Really, as we get into the numbers, they can accomplish that much quicker than maybe what they were expecting. All right, real quick, I do want to talk about, just briefly, just maximizing tax efficiency. So I didn't mention before, but they do have a brokerage account that has $60,000 in it. It's got very large gains in it, and so that's the main reason that we didn't consider that, using that towards the down payment of their home. Rather, we recommend taking that in the future, using that to do the gifting, the tithing that they do. So taking those highly appreciated positions, donate it, and then use the cash that they would have gifted to charity or to their church and buy back those positions. The other thing that we can look at doing is bunching their charitable deductions and doing this when the stock options are exercised. So there's some planning opportunities for the charitable giving that they do. Again, they're maxing out the 401ks, which is great. Backdoor Roths, like we talked about, they'll continue to do the backdoor Roths. And then the final thing is just evaluating the asset location. So as we're having these different buckets of money, one of the things we want to make sure is that we've got the right type of investments in the right type of vehicles, meaning that we want to have, if we have more conservative positions, they're really young, so most of their stuff is going to be more aggressive, more long-term. But if they were to have any bonds, we'd want to have that in the 401k. The more aggressive we want to have in the Roth, which is growing tax-free. Again, we won't go into that too much, but just something we wanted to touch on briefly. Now, another one of their main goals is to retire early. They have a target age of 55. We know that this is, they're in their mid-30s, so this could be a moving target. But we want to start to plan for what they have goals for right now. So in order to retire early, we want to increase, like we've been talking about, what they're planning to save for retirement. Now, it'll be important that they don't just have one bucket of money, the 401k, that they can draw from, but that they've got multiple different buckets of money, specifically having a taxable account that they can draw from. So I'm going to share this strategy here. So this is a 3-bucket strategy where this would be the 401k, the money's going in tax deferred. This would be the Roth, the money's going in and it grows tax free. Both of these buckets of money you can't take out from without paying a penalty before age 59 and a half. So that's where this bucket of money will be coming into play for them, really for those 4 years at a minimum, so they can be pulling money out to live off of. So just coming back here again, that's the diversified tax bucket strategy that we would want to have for them. Now, other things we'd want to start looking at is looking at model retirement projections, looking at current budget. This is what their current budget is, $120 per year for their needs, but we can model different types, whether it's higher, more spending for travel. We'd want to add in an additional expense for healthcare, as right now they're on their company plans, and there'd be quite a big gap between 55 and 65 when they go on Medicare. And we could look at, in those years where their income is potentially lower, doing Roth conversions at that time. The final planning recommendation we'll touch on briefly is insurance and estate planning. So Alex and Taylor don't have really a need for insurance right now. They don't have a home, they don't have kids. If something happens to one of them, they'd be okay. But soon, and as soon as they have the home, as soon as they have kids, they really will need coverage, and term life will likely be adequate for them. Estate plan will be something that they'd want to look at. There are specific things that would be helpful to have now, like powers of attorney for healthcare and property. If something were to, they became incapacitated, if they had to make decisions for each other, having that ability to do so is important. And having a basic will set up. They won't need guardianship. They won't need anything too complex right now, but that'll be something that would be good to get in place now and then look to expand upon in the future as their family grows and as they have more needs down the road. Alex and Taylor's situation is not uncommon at all. High income, but not exactly sure where it's going. That's why by having a plan, being strategic can really help you reach your short-term goals and the long-term goals. Well, thanks so much for watching. If you made it this far, we really appreciate it. We hope to see you in a future video.